Hello, this is London calling. I would like to inform you that you are about to listen to a podcast. The views of the host and the guests reflect only their own and not that of the community as a whole. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And now, Eddie, with his band, will play the banter section.
Cocaine rules! Kids, don't take cocaine.
But do become a photographer. Podcast over. Done. Don't do cocaine. Do photography. Both of them are expensive, and both of them take up probably most of your life. Move on.
Yeah, true.
Done.
Very true.
There's no context.
End podcast.
There's no context. Here comes the music.
Oh my god.
Hello everybody, this is the Ed Talks About podcast, a weekly podcast talking about... I was almost said the word cocaine.
Don't do it, kids.
Cosplay, Comic Con, and everything else
That
excluding
is a blooper reel right there.
I feel like snorting noises is not allowed anymore.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'm going to try to power through. We're going to be talking about, hopefully we will talk about, not about drugs and cocaine, but we're going to talk about what makes a good photographer at Comic Con. Joining us on the podcast is Amy of Acoustica Photography and Charlotte of some brand. Who are you, Charlotte?
Charlotte Watch Photography. Hello.
Sorry, do I know you? Have we
No.
met before? No. Oh, okay.
No, I'm just here to promote photography at Comic Con and how to be a good photographer. I don't even have to say funny stuff now, as you just laugh when I talk.
Literally, we're only 2 minutes in and already I'm dying. So,
I'm so excited. This
by the
is so
way,
much fun.
that banter section is an actual banter section. I said I've got something at 9 o'clock I need to do, and Charlotte just shouted at me, said, just go, and then we just started yelling, and yeah.
We know how to
Amy did a
party.
Mario impression, actually.
It was my best version of it yet.
I want that isolated, and I want that as a ringtone.
Oh, perfect.
I'll see what I can do. Actually, do you know what? I might make that my notification noise. So every time I get a message,
It just woohoo!
That was so good.
oh Jesus Christ, fucking hell! Right. Anyway, let's do a welfare check. I'll start with actual Amy. Like, just say, by the way, when I say actual Amy, on my screen I've got the word Amy, and I've got Amy is cool. So my brain sometimes not knowing who's who. So if I say actual Amy, I mean
I do
Amy.
know I'm Charlotte, by the way, so you can just say Amy, and I won't respond.
No, but I'm reading off the screen.
Oh, and that you should not do that as a photographer.
No, you shouldn't read. What,
You
what's
should not
reading?
read ever.
Anyway, Amy, how are you? How's the I haven't spoken to you in a long time. So not only how's the last 7 days for you, but generally, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. The last 7 days, what have I been up to? Just, although we're all cosplay photographers, I'm sure there's also like weddings thrown in there as well. And I just had a big wedding, and I'm trying to recuperate from doing that. So that's the only thing. I think my energy is very low because of that. But apart from that, good. How about you?
Me? Oh,
Uh-oh.
Oh, do I say this out loud?
Oh.
Yes.
I'm trying to keep. Sometimes with my other branding, I try to keep my identity my face away from it at least. But on relative to this podcast, on Tuesday, the Tuesday just gone, I attended the Fetish Awards.
Oh, fun.
Oh, amazing.
It was actually, it was really
cool.
fun. I went last year, but kept it quiet. I went this year, still kept it quiet.
Mm.
Last year I was meant to like network, meet up with some models, say, hey, look, here's my profile. Would you like to work with me? And as soon as I did it to one person this year, because I didn't do it last year because I chickened out, because this was the fear I had in my head. If I got to a model and go, hey, model, I have no business card. Also, you don't know me. I'm a photographer. Here's an Instagram page that could be or not be my page. Would you like to shoot with me?
Red flags.
Exactly. And like, this is how I knew it. And I knew this last year. And when I did it this year, I went up to the first model and I could just see the panic in their eyes. I'm just going, oh, this does not look good.
Oh no.
But at the end of it, I did actually talk to a few people who I admire from a distance. You know, I like to work with some of them. And yeah, I've actually got 1 or 2 potential shoots from out of that. So
Amazing.
I'm really happy with that. My mental health is actually quite good at the moment. I took a week off straight after MCM London. Fuck me, I needed that week off.
Yeah.
I woke up and went, I'm just going to doom scroll on my phone here. And I just spent 2 hours in bed. And
I
just
don't need to get up.
I don't need to get up. Oh my God. Oh God. Can you imagine if you won the lottery and then you're set for life and you just go, well, this could be my life. I like this.
No,
anyway.
keep working.
You're right.
Oh no, someone actually asked me. So I put this, which I might ask this in the podcast extra, but I put something on my personal wall. And I said, look, if you want to get to, look, ask me anything. I want people to get to know me a little bit more. Someone asked, if you won the lottery enough to not work in your life, what would you do with that money? I said, fuck, pay off my debts, get a house, get a photo studio so that I can do photo shoots, both cosplay and boudoir, and you know, I just have fun with that money. Sort out my family, make sure they're all comfortable, travel the world, attending different comic cons and things like that. I'd actually fucking, that'll be my life. So, yeah, that is what I'd do with that money. But yeah, I'll probably ask that question in the podcast section. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, I know. Charlotte, how are you? How's the last 7 days for you?
You know what? They've been surprisingly good. I took this Comic Con really slowly, which was lovely. Actually, did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you did take a long time to get to me. I could see you at the other side of the hall and just.
I ran. You saw me running to your shoot. Don't you dare lie.
True.
I sprinted across. No, yeah, and then this week I've actually felt really inspired to do some shoots. So I'm going to want to shoot some Amy Pond stuff after this. But yeah, just actually felt more creative again for the first time in ages, which hopefully means the burnout's wearing off, which means you might all get good pictures back from me. You're welcome. But, anyway,
I love that. You're welcome.
you are welcome. They were
stay
free.
in that corner there.
I'm going to have to find a picture of Maui and put your face on it.
Well, for the photography, I do.
I tell you something, this week and last week, my TikTok and my Instagram is blowing up. So I finally put up the video of I'm just going to put it this way.
I know which one you mean.
It's Joe Pesci just saying something, and I think a lot of people are either going, I feel attacked, or I fucking agree.
Yeah.
Amy, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I'm looking forward to this, whatever it is.
Well,
You've hyped it up enough now.
I will send it to you via your TikTok, and then you can watch it there, because I'd rather have more views on that one.
Oh, hell yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we'll do that. Anyway, whilst I'm doing that, okay, so this subject of what makes a good photographer at a Comic Con. I'm going to put this as a disclaimer straight away. This is just an open discussion between 3 photographers, what we think is what a good traits are in a good photographer, okay? This is not something that we go, we're attacking this photographer, attacking that photographer, are we going to bring this photographer? None of that. We're just going to be talking about it, because I had this notion of how do cosplay know when they work with someone, either a planned shoot at a Comic Con, drive-by shoot, not drive-by shooting, sorry, drive-by photography. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
That's a bad
walk-by shoot. No, that's oh God. A walk-by photography. Yeah, we'll do that. And then maybe someone does out of blue location shot, or even someone doing on a photo shoot. How do you know if they are a good photographer? I mean, yeah, you can see their profile, but I mean, is there other checks you need to, and there's other things that you can look out for? I don't know. It's as I said, it's just an open discussion. I'm hoping my guests will have some things, because I didn't actually tell them to think of things, but I have. But I'm hoping it'll be a nice, natural, open thing. And I can see Charlotte's got her hand up. So, did you want to go first?
I just wanted to. I think what would be helpful for people listening is if we just quickly say how many years we've each been doing con photography, so they have some context as to what knowledge. Because I've been doing it, I'd say between 6 and 7 years.
Mhm.
Actually shooting at cons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at about 13 to 15.
Damn.
I'm an old lady.
About me, 10 months.
Welcome,
Oh my
Eddie.
god, you're so good, Eddie.
Why, thank you very
Good, Eddie, you're all right.
I'm actually sweeping my hair, like you can see.
Oh my god.
No, seriously, I've been doing it about 11 years. I'd say my first true like cosplay photo that I said, here's my name. No, here's a photo. Here's my name. I'm putting my name against. Here's a brand, Food and Cosplay. That'll do. And yeah, but yeah, I've been taking probably a few more years up before then, but I wouldn't really call that photography. Just mean cosplay. Snap
You're
phone,
just taking
run.
pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's a good question to ask, actually. So what is the difference between, in your mind, in your heads, the difference between someone who's just with a cell phone, and again, nothing wrong with cell phone photography, but someone with a cell phone, point, shoot, click, thanks, bye, to someone with, that has maybe a pocket camera, maybe a high-end cell phone, or a DSLR camera. In your mind, what is there a real difference? I'll start with Amy.
Yes, because like I feel that a camera also doesn't make a photographer. And I think a lot of people will see someone with a big camera like a DSLR and assume that there's some form of photographer. But I think it's really readily available now. And it's like not so far off the difference of having a phone and taking pictures on a phone. Um, but it's what comes out of it at the end is what I think makes a photographer. Um, Oh my god, my brain has completely forgot where I was going with that. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, you carry on.
Okay. Oh god, I'm putting myself in it now. So yeah, so like if I had someone approach me with a phone and ask for a picture, I probably expect to never ever see that photo again, and also probably wouldn't presume that they're a photographer. Whereas if I see someone that approaches me with a big camera, my first instinct is to think, oh, they are a photographer. But obviously that doesn't make, as I was saying, it doesn't make a photographer if you own a big camera. But I would probably more likely expect to be able to see those photos come back or be able to like request socials or business cards or something like that. So I have more of an expectation from someone who has a DSLR than I do with a phone.
Ah, very interesting. That's a good viewpoint. Charlotte, is that something that you share with that, or do you want to add more, or something you want to disagree with?
I generally agree. I think everyone has access to a phone now, which is like the big difference. If it was 25 years ago plus, not everyone has a phone. Taking pictures would be different, even longer than that. But now everyone's got a phone. So if someone's taking a picture on a phone, you kind of assume they're just like, maybe they like your costume, whatever. It's for their personal thing because they're taking it on like their device, or like for their socials. If someone has a camera, and there is a point at which this analogy stops working, so do not think I'm being snobby. I think there's a slight at the bottom end of the scale relationship to amount of cost put into like the camera, for example, compared to a phone. So like the conscious buying of a camera with money and taking pictures probably means that you're more likely. I'd assume that someone who's like invested in camera equipment, even at a low level, is probably trying to start a business or like is interested in taking a picture and like using it for either sending it back to you or for their portfolio or whatever, and they should be transparent about it. But they're more likely to be like investing in something, i.e. being a photographer. This does not carry on to the more money you spend, the more of a photographer you are. That's where the analogy stops. But if you're investing specifically in camera equipment rather than just bringing your phone along, you're more likely to be doing a camera thing like photography for people, not just for yourself.
Yeah, I think you're both trying to say is that there's a difference between someone with a cell phone, a mobile phone, point and shoot, to someone who's got a DSLR camera who could be starting as a hobbyist photographer,
Yeah.
who then may be moving that from a hobbyist career path to an actual, want to become as close to, if not a professional photographer. And I think that's quite a good way of seeing things. That's really good to see. You both brought this up, and let's go a little bit further with this. equipment. So I was just looking at on Amazon very quickly, and I just typed in Canon cameras because they're the best.
Why fucking Canon?
Oh, Gad.
Who shoots on Canon here?
Not
Me, hands
just
up. Yes.
Eddie.
Amy, what do you shoot on?
I'm a Nikon.
Right, Eddie, get out the call.
You can't kick me off my own podcast. We've spoken about this. Amy is called Charlotte.
Damn it. Sorry, carry on. I've interrupted you. You googled Nip Cannons.
It's really Amazon. I Amazoned it. Thank you.
Oh.
Probably should actually say you can go to Jessups or any other reputable camera brands. Or
Not
outlets.
sponsored.
Fuck, who would sponsor this podcast?
mpb.com, please sponsor us. Inspire me.
I would love to. No, Peak Design. If you're hearing this for some strange reason, please sponsor me. I love your stuff. I really, really do. Anyway, so I was looking on Amazon, and the cheapest DSLR camera I can see is 378 quid or 380 pounds, should we say? I think that's a nice investment, and I think, like you were saying, that's a really nice price to say I'm going to commit myself into doing photography. But
Yeah.
the question I was going to go into is, like you said, but I wanted you to go a little bit further, and we'll start with Sharp with this one. You were saying, look, just because you've got a camera doesn't mean you're good, you're brilliant, and you know it all. I mean, if you saw someone who had, if you know your cameras, or you look at the size of the camera, because the smaller the DSLR body is, kind of the more towards the hobbyist end of the scale. But if
Not
someone
anymore.
kind of,
With
yeah.
mirrorless, you can't really tell anymore.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you asking basically like based on people's equipment?
Yeah. Would you? How
You
much?
judge people?
Would you look at someone's equipment and go, I don't want to you don't want to judge, but but you'd like think, oh, they know what they're doing.
I think no. I am so hyper aware that when I started with like the most basic Nikon I could buy, kit lens, everything, and I still actually genuinely took some pictures that are still on my favourite list to this day, and I took them 7 years ago at con. So
hang on, we didn't meet 7 years ago.
No, I took these pictures. The pictures I took.
Oh.
This is pre-Eddie Charlotte, back when I was all right. But no, so I took what I would still consider really good pictures on, and granted I got lucky with lighting and stuff, but on a like super cheap comparatively DSLR, I've now got lenses that I've chosen because of shots I want to take. So I've basically like custom built kit. I've got one of the best Nikon DSLRs that you can get. Secondhand, mpb.com, please sponsor me. But I've like it, rather than it being because I've spent more money on my equipment, my photography is better. I'd say the more expensive, quote unquote, or like tailored your kit is, the better photos you can take in your style. So you can take a great picture if your camera is shit. And I'd say a lot of it is understanding lighting and understanding posing and understanding how to use the manual mode on your camera is really helpful. You can do it on a cheap camera, but then as the investment goes up, instead of just spending more money on the same camera, you are custom making it to like your perfect setup. So my 85mm lens is gorgeous for portraits. I love it. And I bought that specifically because I wanted that bokeh in mind. And like that's the expensive custom bit that comes with it. So the people that have expensive setups, sorry, I'm trying to be quick. People that have expensive setups are more likely to take photos in a specific style that will probably be better quality because they've honed their style, not necessarily just because their equipment is more expensive. So judging someone on that is pointless.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Amy, is there something you want to add on top of that, or you've got a different viewpoint?
I was thinking about this while Charlotte was talking, but I think it depends on the view, whether it's from like normies from the skivvy side or from a photographer's point of view, because like if I was talking from, say, like a cosplayer's point of view, and I see someone with like 4 lights and a big camera and a big lens or whatever, I'm thinking, God, this person's professional. But then when you're looking from a photographer's side, you're looking at it going, do you really need like 4 lights? That's really unnecessary. So I think a lot of it is kind of like how much money do you have is more of like a bigger flex rather than like what your product comes out with. So like I know a lot of people that like to have this whole like flex on gear, and I'm just like, okay, I literally just take 1 light and 2 lenses and we're good to go. But it doesn't mean that we're all in equal standing in that sense. Like you can have, as Charlotte said, better gear, but your understanding of it can just mean the photos are trash. I've seen people take photos with these fancy cameras, and I'm like, why is it like 2 megapixels? What the heck's going on? Why is it so blurry? And then you realize, oh, you've missed focus. And like, do you not understand your camera enough to know where to focus and stuff like
Yeah.
that? So it's agreed. Like, I do believe the quality of your work does go up with the better kit. Obviously, the like customizing your kit and stuff like that. You it the quality goes up, but it doesn't necessarily mean you catch up with the quality.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, my take on it is that you've got to be. How do I put this politely? So my latest camera I've got is an R6 Mark II, and that's £2,000.
Mhm.
If you're willing to drop that amount of money, thinking that will make you a better photographer, I think. I mean, that's like one in a. I don't want to say one in a million, but 1 in 1,000 type of scenario. It's like,
If money made you a better photographer, Elon Musk's Twitter wouldn't be that fucking boring. Like, he could buy the best camera in the world, and he's still gonna just like have a blurry picture of a tree somewhere. So
oh, amazing! Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's a really good analogy. But like, no, it's just like I think you. Well, I know we all say it doesn't just because you got the expensive equipment doesn't mean makes you a better photographer. But I think sometimes you can look at someone's kit, not just the camera, but the lights they may have. Um, the gear, anything else like reflectors, the modifiers for the lights, things like that. You can actually go, hopefully 9, 8 out of 10, they know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
you can, and like I said, you might encounter someone who has that £2,000, £3,000 camera and go, can I take a photo? I've stuck it in auto, and like, but doesn't mean it's going to be terrible. You just think, oh, I see now. So there is I think, I'm not trying to like single anyone out, because like I said, I've got a £2,000 camera which I'm protecting like the baby it is to me, and like,
Oh, good, yeah.
absolutely, and I'm so like anytime like someone goes near my like camera bag that has my camera in it, or the camera's just resting on the floor, so, I'll come pick that up. I was like, no, I've got it, I'll pick it up. So yeah. I think, yeah, it's such an interesting point of view that we've all been told, and only came up with that opinion just now because I think I can't imagine anyone dropping £1,000, £2,000 on a camera and then things on top of that to think that will make them a good photographer. And like we've all been saying, yes, getting a more expensive camera can actually up your style. Not saying quite a bit, but it can move you in that right direction. I've always said, I started with in my head, like with a professional camera. And I keep saying I'm not a professional photographer, but I started with a 60D Canon. That wasn't, and I'm going to start saying some technical terms, but if you understand, you understand. If you don't, you don't. Don't worry. But that's not a full frame camera. So then when I understood this, and I'm glad I got the 60D camera, because I understood how to use certain settings and features before, and right, I now know these settings. I'll move up into the next category, the next type of, like, I'm going to get a full frame camera, therefore I can get more image onto the frame rather than being 10 miles away from the subject, and they're going, sorry, do I smell or something like that? So
did you hit a point where you're suddenly like, oh my god, there's a genuine shift where you realise your equipment's holding you back, not you, and that's when you should move up, not before. And it's a really lovely shift because you suddenly go, oh my god, I've unlocked the new camera bracket. Incredible.
Exactly. I'm just like, it's just nice when you can afford it and move up. And any I'm hoping this is a nice podcast for beginner photographers or those who want to get into photography to go, oh, this I want to know what's a good camera for me to buy. Here's my tip on this, and I'm hoping my two guests will either agree with me or add on top. Get the camera you can afford, not the camera you want. So if you can only afford £400, the one I saw on Amazon, that'll be good enough for you, because it's more important to understand the skills to take a photo than having the equipment to take the photo, if that makes sense.
Oh hell yeah. Like the way I think of it, it's similar to you. I started on the D90, which is classed as like, I think you'd class it as like an abridged camera. It's not quite an abridged camera, but it's probably the lowest that you could get. But I kind of feel it's the same way as like cars, right? So you learn driving a car with no power steering. You have to learn how to like get it into gear, and it's the same with the lower level cameras. Like you realize you don't have a full frame. So okay, I need to go further back, or I need to learn Lightroom or photography or whatever to Photoshop to compensate for the things that you can't get with your camera. And I feel that that's a steeper but faster learning curve to get better. It's kind of like having stabilizers, like your crop frame. Okay, you've got a fancy lens, but you still don't have the capacity to take the full image that you're there. So you're learning, okay, if I go for a lower angle, further away, and I think it just builds your skills rather than what equipment you have.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's quite a nice little discussion there. Just want to move on a little bit. That's okay with you both?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So, okay, so something that Charlotte has always said, but I don't think we've ever dissected this phrase.
No.
Yeah, so every time we kind of do this type of subject, Charlotte always say, well, if you want to know your photographer, go look at their profile, go look for their thing. So, Charlotte, what do you mean by that? And is there something that I know you're a cosplayer as well? So is there something that you're looking for in someone's profile when you're looking to see what photos they take?
Yeah. So the basic way of thinking of it is just like a safety thing. If you're going to meet someone that you've not met before, looking at their profile or maybe seeing people that you recognise they've shot or like the same location or something is always a plus. Having said that, that's not always the only way to check people are safe, obviously, but that is like a baseline. The way I mean it as more now, having done this for so long, is almost like a not a time waster thing. So if I want to ask someone to shoot with me and I chose someone whose work I didn't like, because if you're looking at their portfolio online, you've got to assume that's probably some of their like medium to best work, because otherwise why would they put it up? If you don't like that, and you go to, and they shoot really dark tones with like flash, and you go in and you want a natural light shoot that makes you look light and airy, then you've gone to the wrong photographer. So you've wasted the photographer's time, because why should they learn a new skill for you necessarily? And you've wasted your own time, because you probably won't like that picture if you don't like that style. So in its simplest form, like if you look at someone's profile and you like what the way they shoot and the way they express themselves, and you can imagine your cosplay or yourself looking great in that style of photo, work with them. As long as there are no red flags and you're all happy, blah, 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 work with them, because you'll get photos you like. If you look at someone's work and you're not a huge fan, there's no point working with them, because they will take the pictures of you, they'll edit them, you won't like them because you knew you didn't like their style anyway, and then you've actually just kind of wasted their time. This is not to say don't experiment. I would only say don't work with someone if you genuinely it really like doesn't match your style or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can learn so much from looking at someone's profile. Why would you not do it? Like, they're public for a reason.
Yeah, it's really, because I do say to people when I meet people, if I haven't shot with them, I just say, look, oh, here's my profile, look at it. If my style matches your style, that's, great. I hope you like what you see, and if you do, just drop me a message and we can do a location shoot, or we can shoot at the next Comic-Con, things like that. But yeah, that's a really good viewpoint.
I'm looking at Amy's page right now. I can instantly see she does full body shots. She does kind of storytelling like poses, and her lighting is gorgeous, and she shot people as pale as me. So immediately I'm like, she can handle that I'm pale. She's not going to overexpose me. She'll get a great picture of my whole outfit. Plus she'll get some of that like whimsy, which I love. Done. I'd shoot with her. So it's literally that like tick, tick, tick. Yeah, I'm happy. It's that easy.
Although though she does tend to use the Dutch angles at an angle I don't
Oh
like.
God, yeah, it's so like I'm so bent, you know. Can't shoot straight to save my life, you know.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go look at one of the my favorite cosplay photo episodes where Amy features. I was just dissecting that to pieces. But anyway, Amy, is there something you want to add to that for what we just described about looking at someone's profile? I mean, do you cosplay? I've forgotten if you cosplay.
I do cosplay. I don't really do much of it, but I do cosplay. When I look at a photographer's, like, I'll do the same. I'll go look at a photographer's profile, see if I really like their style, if I really want to shoot with them. But the other thing that I tend to do is then go look for who is exactly on their profile, if they like credit the cosplayers, other cosplayers, and I'll approach those cosplayers and say, what is your opinion on this photographer? Because, like, I know I'm guilty at this. You're not so bad, Eddie, because you do all your, like, little reels and stuff with your face, but photographers are so bad at, like, not showing who they are that I think, to me, is a really big red flag. And I know I'm bad at it, but I try not to be. And if I don't know, like, I find a lot of comfort in knowing who I'm looking for as well. So yeah, so I would approach other cosplayers, ask them, can you rate this person for me? Like, what are the do's and don'ts? What do you like? What do you not like about them? Can you refer 10 other cosplayers that's ever worked with this person that I might know? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of get like a group consensus, and then things like that I'll check, like, what do they look like? Do they mention their name? Because, like, so often, well, let's say like maybe even 50% of the time, I've had people turn up to photo shoots and be like, "Oh my God, you're a woman," and I'm like,
Literally. Oh my God, someone else has had that
Oh no, I've had the
so
opposite.
many times.
I've had the opposite. I've had people online saying, "Oh, you're not a woman." Right?
but you show yourself like so often. I'm surprised.
Oh,
See,
this
this is why I changed the name on my account, because I got so often, oh, sorry, I was looking for a guy. I was like, okay, guess I'll change my name to be my actual name then.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why the gender would actually dictate how if
Well-
you're a photographer. But to be fair, though, I would have to say, I was like, every time I do those Instagram lives and I do a walk and talk, when I do bump into a photographer, I hate to say it, it's inevitably a male.
Yeah.
And I do wish there was more visible females that I could shoot with, because I remember seeing like yourself, Charlotte. I used to see Fran every so often.
I am a
Shill from
visible
Shill.
female.
So what?
I'm a visible female.
Thank
Thank you
Unlike
for
an
recognising my
invisible one.
status.
You're absolutely 100%. But yeah, you know, they just. I'm not saying they come and gone. Obviously, with London, MCM London, with the cost and all that, some have chosen not to come, which is fine. It's not a problem. But yeah, it's just it's really interesting. The ratio of male to female photographers is
Yeah.
just so skewed towards the male.
Well, it was like I was
Yeah,
at a
go on.
photo event, and when I was stood there getting our briefing, because they always do like the photographer briefing and then the like cosplayer briefing, and literally as I looked around the room, I could only see 2 other girls out of like 120 of us, and I'm like, this is such a poor representation of like the community, because there is women around. I just feel that it's almost like we don't have enough stepping to be in the limelight almost.
Yeah, but it's not. I wouldn't say. It's not something I would think. Oh, this is a job for a man or for a
No.
woman. It's
No.
it's a skill which anyone can pick up.
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
know, and I should also include non-binary, trans, and everyone else. You know, they could pick up this skill. So yeah, it's just so weird. Obviously, those are the type of things you can do ahead of time if someone
Yeah.
drops you a message. But what happens if I just came up to you? So, Charlotte, if I came up to you, Charlotte,
Hello.
actually, but either of you, both of you, and I don't mind who speaks first. But if I came up to you and said, "Oh, I love your costume. Can I take your photo?" You don't really have that split second to go, "Excuse me, can I have your Instagram page so I can just check your work?" It's like, do you do that though? Would you actually say that?
I would let them take the photos, but then straight after I'll be like, "Oh, can I have your socials? Can I see your Instagram page so I can add you?" So yes, it's kind of like an afterthought, but I guess at that point it's not grading someone's work. It's more of I just want to make sure I get to see these at some point and they're not going somewhere shady.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Because obviously I'm just a photographer, so I don't think like a cosplayer. I don't.
I would
Yeah, go on.
agree. I think like, yeah, if someone, it sometimes depends on context. If someone grabs me quickly and just says, "Can I grab a picture?" I'll do the same. I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, pose," and then be like, "Is there somewhere I can grab these back? Like, do you have a card? Do you have an email?" And just jot that down on my phone. If it's like late afternoon, I've actually found a lot of the times there's like the quote unquote more dedicated photographers, just because they're there quite late, who will come up to me and often show me their profile and say, "Can I take your picture? This is the kind of shot I do," which is actually much nicer because you know what you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of photographers now will start by showing off their like Instagram or whatever. I found that a lot. And because I don't tend to just do on the fly stuff, I don't really like do that myself, but I've seen that happen quite a lot.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I did this at the Fetish Awards, and I got such a blank look, and I just
What? With
But
your
then
phone
that
being
was
like,
an
look
award
at
Yeah,
that
show.
I
stuff.
genuinely went up to them and was like, "Hey, this is my profile." I was like,
But I feel like that's such a different, because you've got the whole other level of like the fact that it's fetish. Whereas at Comic Con, like
True,
it's
yes.
all cosplay, everyone kind of knows where they stand to a degree. So
Yeah.
it does become just like a, "Would you like to shoot with me? This is what I can do."
Yeah. I should probably add, when I was at the festival, I was there to network. I wasn't just being a perv or just being, well, I say
I think
perv.
that's the other thing that they just assume, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
I'd hope they wouldn't because they're like, oh, this person's here to do the same stuff that I like. But
Yeah.
I feel that that's the added sort of insecurity about it all is, oh God, is this going to be an absolute weirdo?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Are you talking about at Comic Con or both?
Mostly, well,
Thanks,
depends
Amy.
on the
Thanks.
time of day. If I'm leaving and you're catching me,
Oh, man. Can I just ask this one thing? And I think I already know the answer. Do you look at the like counts on both as a profile and then on the photos itself, or that's
Yes.
not a factor in your mind? Oh,
No, 100%. And it's not because of like, so a lot of people like to play the like popularity game, and I don't think the likes or follows that you have equate to how good your work is. So, especially if you say someone has 10K followers, you're like, great, you have a big following, means that you're quite reputable, people really like you, whatever. And then when you go and look at an image and it only has like 50 likes, and you're like, there's something not right here. And it normally means that they've bought followers, they've got tons of bots, there's no interaction, and that's like huge red flags. Like, your likes do not equivalent to your followers. So that's not green flags anymore, that you're this reputable person. There's loads of red flags going on because you're obviously doing something wrong in the background. May not be like targeting people or whatever, but it's like false advertising.
that's really
Yeah.
interesting. I was going to say, before Charlotte jumps in, I've seen plenty of photographers work who have gone, "Oh, that's great work. It's a shame they've not got the reach that people can go, oh my God, I also like that. Like." So that's that type of thing. Anyway, Charlotte, join in.
Okay. I think that Amy's right. If as a cosplayer, if I see people that have like really big page numbers, and I don't look for it, it's if I kind of happen to see it, like a really low number of likes on a post, it does set those kind of like, okay, clearly this person is, buying followers potentially, which potentially means that they are thinking that numbers equate goodness, etc., which is not what lines up with my philosophy. So I probably would like steer more clear. But with photographers, I don't really mind at all because I have 2,000 followers and I'm 2,000 something. I'll normally get around 100 to 300 likes on a post, depending on how popular the fandom is or what the model's wearing, etc. When I've collaborated with the cosplayer on a picture, I've got, I think, a post that's on like 1,500 likes. That never happens, which is why I don't judge it, because I'm like, photographers actually just don't get as much attention as they should online compared to the people that are modeling. So I don't care as much for the disparity there.
Yes, literally a subject I mentioned. We were talking about in the last podcast. I'm glad you listened to that episode, Charlotte.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It was my favorite one. What are you on?
Oh, we have.
It was really good, mate.
Oh wait, let me just check.
You fucking smashed that one, Eddie.
Oh,
Well
hang
done.
on. Oh no, I haven't released that one actually. Yeah. I
Oh,
don't-
lies.
Ooh. Jokes. That's fine. No, that's fine.
None of us listen to this podcast. No, joking.
Oh, it's fine. I know.
I do.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, I never think about. I think again, me being a photographer, I see it from one side of the. I was going to say the lens. That's wrong. One side of the camera, the phone, social media phone, and then just go because I'm looking at something else. I'm like saying, oh, they seem popular, but yeah, never think about looking at the photo and saying, oh, that's quite low. But then I've got, what was it? I got 6,000 followers supposedly, and yet someone majority of my photos are always in like low double digits, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? But like you said, like it's hard for photographers to gain that traction. And again, I mentioned that in a different in last week's podcast or previous podcast. So go listen to that one. Don't literally listen a week ago. That's weird. That's weird. Anyway, one more thing before we move on to a different subject, and I think Charlotte mentioned this, which I quickly wrote down. So I don't want to forget to say this, but I'll start with Amy on this one.
Okay.
If you like, this is the problem I had when I was at the awards on Tuesday. I'm walking around with a phone in my hand and saying, "This is my profile." But how can I tell? How can I prove it's me? How can you trust what I am saying? Say, yes, I'm this photographer here. This is my work, not, hey, I'm Joe Blogs with this, pretending that this is my photo. How do you get what I'm saying? How? I mean,
Yeah. I think I understand what you mean. So say if you're not at a con and you have no equipment to prove who you are. Is that what you're trying to say? How do you say this is me? And that's again my like stupid like this is like a weird stupid rant of like I understand as photographers we don't like to be in front of the camera, but it's also like you're also like forming a bond with people because they can say, oh, this is the face of the person behind the business. It's not this big like conglomerate or whatever. And if I was at an event and I didn't have my camera on me, the things that I normally do carry on me is my business cards, obviously my phone with my portfolio, and I would probably direct people more to like my website rather than like Instagram and stuff to show like, okay, I have a bit of professionalism behind me. This is the photos I take. Like, often what I insist as well. So I actually I sell merchandise, and when I'm not doing photography, I'm selling merchandise, and I say to people um, like if I know I'm going to be at an event and I really insist that people come and meet me for the first time, if I've never worked with them but they've messaged me and they want to get to know me, I always say like, look, I'm going to be at this table, come find me and we'll have a chat. And it's just having that presence of being there than like someone behind the social medias. And I don't know how you would even be more approachable apart from having like business cards or having your because I think a lot of people work on Instagram these days. So I think it'll be a huge red flag if like a person's like, I'm a photographer, but I can't show you my Instagram.
But
Yeah.
the thing is though, and this is a genuine worry that I have. I am. I hate to say this out loud, so brutally, honestly. I'm a middle-aged man,
Mm.
and I have a camera, and I'm taking photos of, this is what goes through my young females, and I sometimes think, oh, this is not a good look, because like even 10 years ago, I would look around and going, ooh, that's not a good look. Not to say that's something nefarious going on at the time, but I'm just saying it's just not a good look.
But
Yeah.
you can see from your page though, like if you go on your page, it's people clearly just like being the characters they are. You're not like taking pictures of young people and making them look younger or making them look vulnerable or like.
No,
I don't think there's anything wrong with having a portfolio that's just one type of
but if
person.
but me just approaching someone cold, it for me, I could just I assume in my head the first look I'm going to see is red flags, red flags.
Oh yeah.
Because it's gonna be, and that's what I'm saying. When someone comes up with you with showing their profile, like you said, photographers don't share their faces enough online.
No.
I do it enough because I can't. I've got this ethos about trying to earn my next press pass. So I feel like if I show my face, do these Instagram lives, promote the event, the next time they say, "Oh, what did you do to promote the event?" Here you go, and they go, "Oh, of course, here you go." So that's why I show my face. I actually did do selfies online, and then I stopped doing that because I hate to say this out loud again. That got more likes than my actual photos, and it got to a point where I went, no, I want my work to be the most important
Mhm.
part, not my face. So yeah.
And I think it's difficult for guys because although it's a really hard one because like I always joke about this, and it feels like really mean to say it, but a lot of the time if I'm talking to people and they're like, "Oh, I really hate this guy's work. He took this picture of me and he just doesn't listen." And I'm like, ah, typical cis white guy. And I always say that. Always,
Yes.
right? And I feel bad for saying that. And I don't mean to like completely tunnel vision everyone, like all the guys in the photography world, down this like weird little channel. But at the same time, I think it's because more of that outweighs the good.
No.
And it's like, it's such a shame.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's a thing where I'm kind of like, it's kind of good if you had a friend with you, if you were to like to do these sort of events where you're like, I
Oh
want to
yeah.
work with that person, but it's kind of nice to have like maybe someone who can breach it, like a girl or like another person, so that it doesn't seem like you're that scary cis guy that's gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, do you want to come behind the shed with me?" You
Yeah.
know, almost like a chaperone for
Hang
like
on.
approaching people.
I feel like I've said that recently. Oh God. Okay. No wonder. I'm just gonna check the Crime Watch UK just to make sure. Yeah. Good. My face is not there. That's fine.
Good.
Is there anything else, Charlotte, you want to add before we move on?
Not specifically. You guys kind of had that covered.
Okay. Cool.
I think
Right.
the only thing I thought of was like guys are unlucky in some regards, obviously, because trust is a really big thing that you have to have. And I have had a disproportionate number of young female cosplayers come up to me and go, and also I'm not one of the photographers that you can't see my face. I do a hell of a lot of self-portrait shooting. So
Yeah.
I'm in a weird grey area where I am a photographer and I'm probably more on my page than cosplay other people are. But
Yeah.
because of that, a lot of younger people, like more scared people, quote unquote, have come up to me and gone, "Oh, I was really reassured seeing like your face on your page and knowing it was your name, and like you're my age and you cosplay, so you know what I'm looking for." And like I am lucky that I have that common ground. It's not
Yeah.
for everyone, but then I'm disadvantaged in other areas where like Eddie might be taken more seriously. So it really is like a swings and
Oh,
roundabouts for
definitely.
everyone.
Yeah, because I've had, and it's quite worrying actually. A large amount, and obviously mostly girl cosplayers. There's very rarely men cosplayers, but they've come up to me or they've worked with me, like they booked in, and they've gone, "I've specifically come for you because your portfolio shows that you have variety and you're not scared to work with people of different sizes and shapes and colors or anything like that."
Yeah.
And the fact that you're a woman, because I've had so many bad interactions with other people, and the fact that their profile is just skinny, small, young women that I feel that I just don't fit in, and I'll never get photos. So I've had that happen a lot, which is really disheartening, really.
Yeah.
Like that's the impression that we give to the wider audience is quite sad.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah. I have opinions on that, and
Hmm.
the brutal honesty is that I hate to say it, sex sells, and therefore that's
Oh
why
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
that yeah, and that's why that demographic gets more attention than anyone else.
Hmm.
And I've always said, look, for me, at the basic genesis of photography, photography is just point, shoot, post online.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's more to it by like the skill level, how to take a photo of this person with that shape, this shade of skin color as well. You know, not everything is a template for everyone. There's
Yeah.
certain ways you got to take pictures of certain people in a certain way, so it makes them more flattering to the eye.
Hmm.
Um,
And I think it's really great to see diversity in people's portfolios as well. I think that's what makes a good photographer, is that you can look at their portfolio and go, "Oh, wow, that's fantastic. This person's shot with a lot of men, let's say, but they're not, I don't know, big muscular men. It's just your, common
Yeah.
person where like I can understand I can fit into this." And it's nice. I think that's what makes a really good photographer, is that you can see that they're willing to be diverse and willing to learn.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's cool. Cool. Okay, then all right. This is probably let's flip on its head a little bit. If you do see a photographer, you kind of have seen their page and go, "All right, that's quite nice." But then the way their mannerism and the way they talk maybe gives you like the heebie-jeebies. how do you step away from that? How do you go, thanks, but no thanks? Or
Be in a public place.
Oh no, I think that's a genuine thing. Yeah,
I think like if are we talking just at con or generally? I feel this is just
both.
at con, right?
I think both.
Both. Okay. If you are shooting with someone you don't know, and you say to them, and you say to them, "Can I like my friend's coming along because we're hanging out together today?" And they say, "No, you can't bring a friend. Do not ever shoot with that person. I don't care if they're the most famous, well-known person in the world. If a photographer tells you it's a closed set and you can't bring anyone, that is a massive red flag. Because what could you possibly do on a set that is reputable that would require no one to be there, right? So like the most important thing is that you as a model feel comfortable. Above everything, above good photos, above the photographer getting the shot, you have to be comfortable. Safety comes first. So especially at cons and stuff, if you're in the trees shooting and you start feeling uncomfortable, literally just, I don't care how rude you think it is, go, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I've just realised I need to get to a panel." Or like, if you're in public, like, "I need to run." There is no shame in also just being really honest and going, "I don't feel like the vibe's working out, like, I'm going to go." Because if you're in public, you kind of have options. If someone turned out to be nasty or pushy, you do have options. And genuinely, especially at Comic-Con, I'd say if you just grab like someone near you that looks kind of trustworthy and go, "Oh, help." Most people will be like, "No problem, I got you. Yeah, this is my friend, we've got to run." So just basic safety rules. And I know I've said this before on your podcast, but basic safety rules when it comes to anything, basic politeness etiquette. It's literally the basics of like humanity. If photographers aren't following them, do not work with that photographer, because if they're not being polite, photography is not an excuse for that. You can be a polite photographer and you can be a respectful photographer. So if they're not being polite and respectful, that's just them as a person. Don't work with them.
Absolutely. Have we both had a chance to talk about that?
I've got not really much to add on to that, apart from I was thinking that there's also like, say if you're working with someone and you really don't like the vibe, but you also think, "I don't want them to have my pictures." I also think you can and will have the right to just stand there and ask them to delete them. Like, I don't think there's
100%, yeah.
exactly, just stand there and watch them delete them. There's no like, if you're not comfortable enough to do that, have a friend with you. If they won't allow you to have a friend, obviously, then as Charlotte put it, big red flags, don't want to go near them. But at no point should you ever feel uncomfortable to be around someone, nor feel the need to keep quiet about it. I hate having all these like call out posts years down the line. It's like, you could have stopped this for many other people. So all you need to do is kind of, if you can't be like brave about it, have a friend help you be brave about it, that sort of thing. That's my like little added.
Absolutely. Just to add on top of that very quickly, I'm assuming again, if they kind of got past the fast hurdle of the profile, check, there's no heebie-jeebies, but down in your gut, there's something that you feel, something's a little off. They're not giving you that heebie-jeebie vibe, but in your gut, I don't know what would give you that. If they're giving you all the positivity, but in your gut you think, something's off here. Again, do you just step away? Do you make excuses?
I actually had this con.
Oh,
so
go on.
Oh.
Someone asked, and again, I've been doing this for years. I know a decent number of people that are like actually vendors and people just walking past, that if I had an issue, I'm like in such a comfortable place now at con. If I kicked up a fuss, I wouldn't feel bad about it. But so there was this photographer who he was like, "Can I take your picture?" It was me and the two girls doing like Marvel characters. And we were like, "Sure." And so he turned around and then he clearly had like a friend with him and they were both taking pictures, but he hadn't introduced his friend. So it was a bit like, "Oh, whoa, there's two of you now." And then, so I kind of like and I was like, I'm sure this is just me overreacting, but as a photographer, I wouldn't do that to someone. So what is his friend doing? Because the obvious thought goes like, is this one guy taking normal pictures and then the other guy's taking like close-ups of places I don't want them to take pictures? And I thought that was unlikely because all of us were fully covered, which is why I didn't act on anything, but I was like very cautious of how I was posing. So I was like very like neutrally posing, not giving, anything. And then at the end, like the first guy that had spoken to us showed us the pictures and they were really nice. The other guy didn't show us the pictures. So I do have his Instagram, because I made sure I was like, can I have your Instagram or an email just in case? So again, it was weird. Like, it was a weird, like, I think I got weird heebie-jeebies about that because I'm a photographer. Because I am a photographer, I could tell by the lens it was really unlikely he was doing anything weird because it wasn't like a macro lens or anything. But yeah, it was. But because it was kind of like a neutral weird situation, I was like, I'm just gonna let him take the pictures and then we're gonna walk away because that in that situation that was like the safest thing to do. But again, should the onus is on that photographer because he should have said, may I take your picture? This is my colleague. He will also take a few just so we've got some backup shots. Is that cool? He should have done that. And it is on him that we felt uncomfortable that he didn't. So I don't feel bad for feeling bad. But it's just like word to the wise out there. If you are going to have a friend shooting or sniping or whatever, they also need to ask. You need to like make sure everyone knows what the whole situation is, not what part of it is. So, you know, and I've been doing this 7 years and I still felt really uncomfortable just in that moment. And I was like, what? Hello?
Yeah. Well, no, that's thank you for sharing that story. You know, it's really fascinating to hear, actually. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad that I'm glad I'm asking questions that don't sound too silly. So
no, I think it's so reasonable and like time and age and like I'm in both industries, both as a cosplayer who's earned stuff from cosplaying and a photographer who's been paid for jobs. And in that scenario, in like one of the most comfortable places I am, I felt genuinely unnerved for like a minute or two with two of my best friends in the whole world. So you never feel stupid for being in that situation, but also, and this is where I'd just be like, just hesitate on the jumping straight on social media. I felt a bit awkward, but then all my fears were kind of allayed. And the only thing I'd say is just because you feel a bit uncomfortable temporarily, which is totally on them, like I'm not going to share their page and be like, oh my God, check these people out, these bastards, because I think it was just like a mistake on their part.
Yeah.
So, you know, just like be mindful of, you might not always be 100% comfortable. You shouldn't be made to feel uncomfortable, but also like react with like wisdom. Don't just lash out.
Some good advice there. Amy, anything you want to add to that before? Because there's one thing I want to kind of like, I want everyone to have a little like feed into.
No, I just think as long as you make your intentions obvious, then there should never ever be any issues. So
Sorry, I feel like I feel like when you said that, what came into my brain was like, if a bear attacks you, you got to be big and large. Hello, sorry. Go away, bear. I'm so. I didn't mean to undercut your seriousness, but I'm just sorry. I had to share that. Carry on.
No, that's it. Really, it's just you've got to thrown me completely.
I'm so sorry.
But it's just make sure if you as a photographer, like I've done this a few times where I've kind of mentored photography at cons, and I always do that. I go, oh look, this is my so and so. They'll be practicing photography with me today. If that's okay, just let me know. If it's not, then also let me know. They can just sit and watch and pay attention to what's going on. But yeah, as long as your intentions are well within line and well voiced, I think there should never be an issue of like feeling ick around someone.
No, absolutely. All right, okay. So I'm gonna go round table, but I will go first. It gives my guests some time to think. I'm gonna say either one thing that you would include in looking for what is a good trait, or maybe not a good trait in a photographer at Comic-Con. So I'll give my guests time to think, because I've had time to think about this, because I want to make this one very, very personal to me. Because I hear this a lot, and I'm like, do you know what? I think there is some responsibility for photographers for actually getting photos back to people. So if you hear photographers who have said, "Oh, I have a big backlog," time frame wise, you may not see your photos ever. I'm like going, I don't know if that's a good trait for to say you're a good photographer. I'm not suggesting that all photographers need to be up to date and have a clear backlog and things like that. Look, I know a lot of photographers who have like 1 or 2 projects behind. That's fine. That's normal. Things like that. In my eyes, that's normal. But again, I've heard a few photographers who have said, "Oh, I'm about a year and a half behind, 2 years behind. I don't know if I'm going to bother shooting." Like, hang on, not being funny. stop taking photos then, because either you can't keep up with your backlog and you're wasting that person's time as well as your own time as a photographer, which you could have spent elsewhere, either going through your backlog or actually, that person could have got a photo from a different photographer, good or bad, but at least they get photos back eventually. So that's something I just want to quickly add in there as something I would say is not a good trait of a good photographer if they say they have a massive backlog of photos or they can't give you a realistic time frame. If they said, "Oh, it'll be with you in 2-3 months," but in fact it took 12 months plus, what would I wouldn't go back to that person and just go, yeah, I shot with you, I had a good time with you, but what's the point? I'm not getting photos out of it. That's your point of shooting with a photographer is that you both get photos out of it that you can both share online. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, I don't think backlog is a bad thing, but certainly if they're going, oh yeah, I've got 2 years behind, you're thinking, well, I'm never going to see that. So it's kind of it's on a teeter-totter. Like I kind of feel that everyone should have a backlog, especially if you're a hobbyist. If you don't do that for a living, then I kind of expect it to not be quick. But if you're like paid, then I expect it to be within a certain amount of time. Whatever that time frame is, I don't know, but again, as long as you like tell people exactly, and if that time is running out, you go back to them and be like, look, you're next on the list or whatever, you keep updating them so that they know. Like for me, if I can, I'll try and make sure everyone gets at least one photo and saying like, look, here's a photo of your costume or whatever. I've got the time to finish the rest of them at the moment, but as I work through it, you'll probably notice towards the end of the year when it's more quiet, that's when I'll get through photos. So as long as you've got a time frame and you keep people like knowing what's coming, then I think it's acceptable. It's just when you just cold turkey cut everyone out of your life and they're like, are these like photos ever going to make it on the internet? If they make it on the internet, what shady site is it going to make it onto or whatever? So yeah, that's my like kind of stance. Not all backlog is bad, but not all of it is good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for that balanced opinion. Thank you very much. Charlotte, do you want anything you want to add that we haven't actually recorded this twice?
Yeah, I hate you. And no, I think I do actually think it's a tricky one, because my backlog is less now, but there was a period of time where I did have quite a big backlog. And it was a combination of, I started picking up paid shoots, so I had to push back obviously the Comic-Con ones because it was paid, and I tried to let people know as much as possible. And
that's a difference. You're letting your clients know, so you're not your non-paid clients, that
as far as you can. Now this is the issue with con. There's so many people, so like I tried as far as I could to do it, like make it public. You will get these back. That's the number one thing. I'm like, you will get all your pictures back. They will just be a bit longer than you thought. And then I had some like mental health stuff, and then I had like burnout from photos because it got so stressful having the backlog. And then I realized actually I don't need to fully retouch every single picture. It's okay just to like do a nice color retouch, and actually most cosplayers will still be like, this is the best photo ever. So now, and I like in the last couple months I've got to a really good point of like the right level of what editing makes me proud of the pictures but makes it realistic and viable. But I was at over a year for a bit while I worked that out. So I think but I think the key is I felt bad about it and I tried to help it. I like the people that are smug about it or joke about it too much make me feel worse, because I'm like, it really wasn't my fault, and you're making it sound like all of us like, oh, it's a matter of pride that I've got so many pictures. No, it's not a good feeling. I would much rather that everyone had their pictures back right away. Sometimes it's just not possible.
And I think also it comes with the territory of like your style as well. So like some people are just happy snappy, color grade, throw out, cool. Whereas like for instance, like I'll use myself, like you look at my stuff, it's edited to some degree, so it's not going to be quick. So I think that's also like something you have to keep in mind as to like what type of photographer you're working with, what type of style. Like I wouldn't expect, like personally, if I was to work with myself, I wouldn't expect my photos to be out next week. Whereas there's other people that I know that I would kind of expect it to be within like the month, because I'm like, all you do is color correct. You don't like spot remove or fly away or remove backgrounds or whatever. So
Yeah.
it is kind of that like awkward balance of style over quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, I think I've assassinated myself enough. I'm sure I've put enough hate on me. Those photographers who
Mhm.
go, man, I'm getting emails. Who should I? I'm going to let Amy go next. What thing would you say is a good trait or bad trait of a photographer?
So we touched on this earlier, but ones that kit brag gets me absolutely like gets me raging. And I don't think like if you're a person that brags that, oh, I've got all this expensive gear and look at all of this thing and I've got like 20 lights or whatever, that doesn't make you a good photographer. And to me that's a massive red flag. Like why are you bragging about expensive things to me if you can't get photos out to me?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you can put it under the umbrella of like if you brag, oh, I got this £2,000 camera. Like not once have I said to cosplayers, by the way, I got a brand new camera. It's £2,000. I might have said I've
Yeah.
got a new camera, but I wouldn't say £2,000. Like
Yeah,
what?
by the way, you're
Yeah.
gonna look absolutely fantastic because of this really expensive camera.
Like that makes no difference. No, yeah, I totally
No,
agree with you
exactly.
100%. Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Oh that. Oh,
And
Charlotte.
it really riles
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I could. Oh yes, but Charlotte, does it roll you?
Yeah. Well, because also at its base, it's just a safety issue. You're just telling people you got stuff to nick, don't you?
Oh yeah,
And I will
100%.
nick it. So like, and then you'll be like, oh, why'd you steal it? Because you told me it was worth money. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. Actually, never thought of it that
Yeah.
way.
I've said
That
I
is
know.
my biggest issue with it. It's like, why would you tell people you've got expensive stuff? I would rather tell everyone all my stuff is worth nothing, so they leave me alone.
Yeah.
I tell you something that I know I've said this on the podcast, and I know one of these days it's going to kick me in the ass. I keep saying I leave my. I know I've mentioned this online. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying in total, I think my whole camera kit's about £4,000 at one, and not any one time, but at certain points of the day. And I'm thinking, shit, I just leave my bag on the floor. Anyone can pick that up and run off with it.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah, and it sounds like it hasn't been nicked. So
Touch wood. Oh my
next time
god.
you do
touch
that,
wood,
I'm
touch wood.
taking it.
Touch wood. Oh god. Yeah, touch wood head. Yeah. Anyway. Oh jeez. Charlotte, is there anything you? Is there? Yeah, I'm gonna quickly move because we're running out of time. It's getting close at 9 o'clock.
I've written it down, so I'll be really fast.
Go.
Okay, my good and my bad trait mirror each other, so I'll be even faster. The good
Good.
trait I've got for any photographer is insert the word model where cosplayer is if you want to make it general. If you make any cosplayer, if you shoot with any cosplayer, you should make them feel like the star of their own show. It doesn't matter of their talent level or how accurate they are or their size, gender, colour, sexuality, anything. While they're shooting with you, your focus should 100% be on them. They should feel confident that you're trying to get their best angle, their best cosplay, like make them feel like the character in that moment. And I think the worst trait you can do is do anything that makes your model or cosplayer feel like they've done something wrong, they're shit, they're not confident, because it's not just for the photo. Like knocking someone's confidence, especially in this situation, can have like massive consequences. So if you don't have the like cognizance to just not be a dick to someone while you're shooting with them, you shouldn't be shooting. And like that's I think the biggest. It's like goes beyond technical. It's like if you're gonna shoot with someone, make them feel like shit. That's just wrong.
I totally understand that. I think I've had a few people who've come up to me and said, Ed, I love shooting with you. You make me feel so important, so special. You make me the focus point of the photo. I've got your whole things like that. I'm like, oh, do I? Don't any other
It's like that
do
picture you took of me this con, which you can share to show everyone what you mean. Please edit it. Thanks. I went to Eddie as a character I'd never worn before. Literally first time I put it all on. And he took a picture that made me look like I walked straight out of the video game and I was on the front cover. And I hadn't even noticed I was doing that pose. And he showed me the picture. And suddenly for the rest of the day, I was buzzing. Because I was like, I can trip over and break this whole costume right now. And that one picture where I was that character in that picture. And Eddie just went, yeah, you look sick. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. And that nothing will ever be more important than giving that feeling to people as a photographer.
Kawaii, so good.
I do have a joke crab one as well, and this is a PSA. If anyone tries to make gingers look more ginger by raising the orange slider on any part of Photoshop, Lightroom, or other editing stuff, and you do not take it off their skin afterwards, fuck you, go to hell. That's just a personal trait.
Oh, I know what I'm doing with your photos now.
I've shown you the pictures before. If you try and make someone more ginger and you just raise the orange slider, you just make their skin go orange. It doesn't help.
Sorry, I just remember the googly eye photo I gave you.
Yeah, oh my god, literally.
Anyway, let's. I think we can close off the podcast. I think we had some good tips. Like I said, this was just an open discussion. I'm not saying that everyone should be following our what we've been discussing to heart. Take what you want from this. If you disagree with everything, that's fine. You disagree with everything. There's no issues with that with me. I've always said these podcasts about an open discussion. We just talk about cosplay and Comic-Con, but not cocaine. So.
Let's be clear, I don't do cocaine, so please hire me.
One for the podcast, one from Charlotte. Anyway,
it, you know.
Yeah. Oh my god. Anyway, let's do handles. Amy, where can they find you on the social medias?
I'm Acoustical Photography pretty much across the board everywhere, so if you Google that, you'll find me there.
I'm going to do my one because Charlotte's gone mute and I know what she's doing. So if anyone needs to find me on the social medias, go to foodandcosplay.org/links. That's where you find all my social media links, such as Threads, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you go to foodandcosplay.org, generally you'll find daily cosplay photos that I post. If you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you'll find podcasts that I've recorded with Charlotte. And do you know what I should just do? Just take from a previous one, Charlotte, and just cut and paste it. Anyway, yeah. Previous podcasts I recorded with Charlotte and Amy and other guests with other topics. And if you go to patreon.com/foodandcosplay, you'll hear the podcast section where we can talk about maybe what if you win the lottery, a possible name change with someone here. And yeah. And probably other thing else. Charlotte, where can they find you on the social medias?
Okay, you can find me at www.charlottewoolrichphotography.com. Woolrich is spelled Woolrych. You can find me at Charlotte Woolrich on Twitter, Charlotte Woolrich Cosplay Photography on Instagram. On Twitter, you can find me at CX Woolrich Photo. It's not a joke. I genuinely have to Google it every time. Genuinely. Genuinely. Like, you say it, and every time I'm like, fuck, I just don't know it. Yeah, just find me. Please find me.
And on that note, we're going to end the podcast. We're going to switch over to the podcast extra. I hope you can join us there, but if not, it's been lovely having you on the podcast. Oh, Tom, sorry. We tried to get you on the podcast, but we'll get you on another time. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, and they're going to say goodbye. So, bye, guys!
Bye!
Oh, my goodness. Right, where's the cocaine? Get the cocaine party out. Cocaine party!
Mario!